Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the colony ship New Horizon, watching the stars stretch past the massive viewing screen. Behind him, the soft hum of computers filled the air as his crew worked at their stations. The ship carried 2,000 people to their new home, a planet called Haven in the Kepler system. "Captain, we're getting some strange readings on the long-range sensors," said Lieutenant Amy Collins from her station. Her voice had a worried tone that made Jake turn around quickly. "What kind of readings?" Jake asked, walking over to look at her screen. "Ships, sir, big ones. They're moving fast and heading right for us." Jake felt his stomach drop. They were still 3 days away from Haven, floating in empty space between star systems. No human ships should be out here. "How many ships?" Jake asked. "At least 12, sir. Maybe more." On the lower decks of the New Horizon, Dr. Lisa Carter was reading bedtime stories to a group of children in the ship's daycare center. The kids sat in a circle around her, their eyes wide as she told them about brave knights and magical dragons. There were 300 children on the ship, from tiny babies to teenagers. They were all excited about starting new lives on Haven. "Will there be dragons on our new planet?" asked little Amy, a 4-year-old girl with bright blue eyes. "I don't think so," Dr. Carter laughed. "But there will be lots of new animals to discover." The children giggled and asked more questions about their new home. Dr. Carter loved these moments. As the ship's chief medical officer, she took care of everyone's health, but the children were her favorite patients. Up on the bridge, the unknown ships were getting closer. "Captain, they're not responding to our calls," said Communications Officer Ben Parker. "I've tried every frequency we have." Jake stared at the screen showing the approaching ships. They looked nothing like human vessels. These ships were dark and covered in sharp edges, like weapons made to fly through space. "Send a message to the escort ships," Jake ordered. "Tell Commander Hayes to prepare for possible trouble." The New Horizon traveled with 3 smaller military ships for protection. Commander Ryan Hayes led the escort group from his destroyer, the Guardian. Jake hoped they wouldn't need to fight, but something felt very wrong about this situation. 20 minutes later, the alien ships surrounded the New Horizon. They were huge, much bigger than any human ship Jake had ever seen. Strange symbols covered their dark metal hulls, and weapons pointed at the colony ship from every direction. "Captain, they're sending us a message," Ben said. "It's in broken English." "Put it on the main screen," Jake ordered. The image that appeared made several crew members gasp. The alien looked like a cross between a wolf and a lizard, with sharp teeth and yellow eyes. When it spoke, its voice was rough and cruel. "Human ship, you will surrender now. We are the Kithera. You belong to us." Jake stepped forward. "This is Captain Morrison of the human colony ship New Horizon. We are peaceful travelers. We don't want any trouble." The alien laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Trouble? You are not trouble. You are profit. We take you to the markets. The buyers will pay good money for humans." "We're not for sale," Jake said firmly. "Leave us alone, and we'll go our separate ways." "You do not understand," the alien said. "I am Warpack Leader Zaxth. We take what we want. Your ship, your people, everything. You cannot stop us." The transmission ended, and Jake immediately contacted Commander Hayes on the Guardian. "Ryan, you heard that? What's our situation?" "Not good, Jake. These ships are armed with weapons I've never seen before. We'll fight, but we're outnumbered 4-1. Jake closed his eyes for a moment. He had to protect his people, especially the children. An idea formed in his mind, desperate but possibly their only chance. "Listen carefully, Ryan. I'm going to separate the ship. The civilian sections will eject in emergency pods. You protect those pods with your life. What about you and the crew? We'll keep their attention on the main ship. Get those pods to safety." Down in the daycare center, alarms began to ring. Dr. Carter quickly gathered the children together. "Okay, everyone, we're going to play a special game," she said, trying to keep her voice calm. "We're going to get in the emergency pods, just like we practiced." The children looked scared but trusted Dr. Carter. They had practiced emergency drills many times during their long journey. "Are we in danger?" asked Tommy, an 8-year-old boy. "Don't worry. Dr. Carter said. Captain Morrison and his crew will keep us safe. We just need to follow the safety rules. The battle began as the first Kythera ship fired on the Guardian. Commander Hayes returned fire, but the alien weapons were too powerful. One by one, the human escort ships were destroyed or badly damaged. On the New Horizon, Jake ordered the ship's separation. The civilian sections, including the area with all the children, broke away from the main ship and launched into space in emergency pods. Emergency pods away, Captain, reported Lieutenant Collins. Good. Now we make our stand. The Kythera ships ignored the fleeing pods at first, focusing on destroying the New Horizon's main section. But Warpack leader Zakth quickly realized what the humans had done. Clever, he said to his crew, but pointless. Collect those pods. The young ones will be easier to train. Chief Engineer Danny Roberts worked frantically in the engine room as the ship shook from alien weapons fire. He had one last job to do before the ship was destroyed. His fingers flew over the controls as he sent out a quantum message to Earth and the Galactic Council. Colony ship destroyed. Children taken by Kythera slavers. Coordinates attached. Send. Help. The message launched just as the New Horizon exploded in a ball of fire and light. The Kythera ships collected the emergency pods like farmers gathering crops. Warpack leader Zakth smiled as he watched the pods being loaded onto his flagship, the Flesh Render. 300 human children would bring a fortune at the slave markets. He had no idea that his message to the galaxy would soon make him the most hunted being in known space. The Kythera had just made the biggest mistake in their species' history. They had taken human children. The emergency message from Chief Engineer Danny Roberts traveled through space faster than light, reaching Earth and the Galactic Council at the same time. On the massive space station orbiting Proxima Centauri, Ambassador Helen Torres was having her morning coffee when the urgent message appeared on her screen. Helen read the message 3 times before the terrible truth sank in. The New Horizon was gone. All those families, all those dreams of a new life destroyed. But worst of all, 300 human children were now prisoners of alien slavers. She ran through the curved hallways of the station toward the council chambers. Other aliens moved out of her way, sensing her urgency. The Galactic Council had representatives from 47 different species, and they were about to learn something important about humans. In the great round chamber, Helen burst through the doors during a boring trade discussion between the plant-like Verdani and the crystal beings called Zalani. The chamber fell silent as she walked to the center. Emergency session, Helen announced, her voice echoing off the curved walls. The Kythera have attacked human civilians and taken our children. She played the message for everyone to hear. Danny Roberts' voice filled the chamber. Colony ship destroyed. Children taken by Kythera slavers. The reaction was immediate and shocking. The Zalani ambassador, who looked like a walking crystal spider, started clicking frantically. Their translator quickly turned the clicks into words. The humans speak truth. They took human offspring. The Kythera have signed their death warrant. Other aliens began talking all at once. The butterfly-like Etherians fluttered their wings, in distress. Even the usually calm water beings called Aquari began churning in their tanks. High Counselor Vextar slowly rose from his meditation platform. The ancient reptile-like Saurian had lived for over 3,000 years and had seen many wars and tragedies. When he spoke, his deep voice made everyone listen. Silence, he said calmly. I have lived longer than most species exist. I have watched civilizations rise and fall. In all my years, I have learned one rule that never fails. Never harm the young of humans. Their protective instincts are stronger than any weapon. The chamber erupted in debate. Some species had fought humans before and lost. Others had only heard stories, but none of them seemed surprised by the Saurian's warning. Ambassador Torres stood in the center, trying to control her anger. We demand immediate action. Those children must be rescued. The Galactic Council cannot interfere in commerce disputes between non-member species, said the rule-following Vulcan representative. The Kythera are not part of our council. This isn't commerce, Helen shot back. This is kidnapping. This is an attack on innocent children. While the council argued, Word of the attack spread through the galaxy's communication networks. The reaction from other species was swift and unexpected. The Merchants Guild of Altair immediately sent a message to all Cathara trading posts. All trade agreements terminated. No guild member will do business with child takers. The peaceful, Etherian collective, who had never fought a war in their 1,000-year history, sent their own message to the Cathara. We cannot protect you from what comes next. You have awakened something terrible. But the most surprising reaction came from humanity's former enemies. The Nexari Empire had fought humans in the brutal border wars just 20 years ago. Thousands had died on both sides during those bitter conflicts. Admiral Vex Corvain, the same Nexari commander who had fought Colonel Sam Blake in the bloody Battle of Titan, sent a personal message to his old enemy. Blake, I heard about your young ones. The Nexari fleet offers assistance. Some things are more important than old wars. On Earth, the message arrived at the same time as all the others. Fleet Admiral Sam Blake was in his office at Luna Command when his aide rushed in with the news. Sir, we have an emergency message from the colony fleet. Blake read the message and felt his blood turn cold. He had grandchildren of his own. The thought of any human child in alien hands made him furious. Get me every ship commander in the key Sol system, he ordered. And contact the civilian shipping companies. We're going to need every vessel we can get. Within 1 hour, something unprecedented began happening throughout human space. Military ships changed course and headed toward the last known position of the New Horizon. Civilian cargo ships loaded with supplies joined them. Even old retired warships were pulled out of storage. Captain Ben Parker was hauling mining equipment to the outer colonies when he got the news. His ship, the Iron Horse, wasn't built for fighting, but that didn't matter. Change course, he told his crew. We're going after those kids. Captain, we're a cargo hauler, not a warship, his first officer pointed out. Every ship counts, Ben replied. Those could be our children out there. Back on the Galactic Council station, aliens watched the human response with growing amazement. The logical Volthan analyst, Prime Logic Zerion, studied the movement patterns of human ships. This response makes no economic sense, he reported to the council. The humans are sending ships worth billions of credits to rescue 300 individuals. The cost far exceeds the value. You don't understand, said the Zelani ambassador. To humans, those aren't just 300 individuals. Those are their future, their hope, their reason for existing. The wise old Saurian nodded slowly. The humans see every child as precious beyond measure. They will sacrifice everything to protect them. Meanwhile, the Cathara fleet was racing toward their home system, completely unaware of the storm building behind them. Warpack leader Zakath was pleased with his successful raid. 300 human children would bring enormous profits at the slave markets. How long until we reach Zerion Prime? He asked his navigator. 3 days, Warpack leader. The buyers are already gathering. Zakath smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Excellent. These humans will learn what happens when they enter Cathara space. But other Cathara were not so confident. Reports were coming in from outposts throughout their territory. Human ships were appearing everywhere, asking questions, demanding information about missing children. Warpack leader, said his second-in-command, perhaps we should reconsider. The other species seem very worried about what we have done. Worried? Zakath laughed. They're jealous. We found a new source of profit and they want to share it. He had no idea that at that very moment, the largest military fleet in human history was forming. Ships from every human world were joining the hunt. Veterans who had retired years ago were volunteering to serve again. Even former enemies were offering to help. In the cargo hold of the Flesh Render, the human children slept in stasis pods, unaware of their situation. Little Amy dreamed of her new home on Haven, where she would play in green fields under a warm sun. She had no way of knowing that every human in the galaxy was coming to save her and the other children. The Cathara had made the worst mistake possible. They had not just taken human children. They had united humanity in a way nothing else ever could. The hunt was about to begin, and it would become the stuff of legends throughout the galaxy. The news spread through human space like wildfire. On every human world and every space station and every ship traveling between the stars, people heard the same terrible message. Alien slavers had taken 300 human children. Admiral Kate Sullivan was patrolling the outer edge of the Sol system when the emergency orders came through. Her battle group consisted of 12 heavy warships, the most powerful vessels in the Earth Defense Fleet. All ships, change course immediately, she broadcast to her fleet. We're going after the children. Her navigator looked worried. Admiral, that will take us far outside our patrol zone. Earth will be undefended. Kate's eyes were hard as steel. Earth can take care of itself. Those kids can't. On the mining station Ceres, Captain Lisa Wade was loading supplies when she got the call. Her heavy cruiser Vengeance was designed for fighting pirates, not alien armies. But that didn't matter now. Cancel the supply run, she told her crew. We have more important work to do. The response was the same everywhere. Military commanders abandoned their posts. Cargo ship captains left their contracts unfinished. Even retired veterans came out of retirement to join the hunt. On Luna, General Alex Rodriguez coordinated the largest military operation in human history. His underground command center buzzed with activity as reports came in from across human space. Sir, we have over 800 ships joining the search, reported his aide. More are coming every hour. Good, Alex said, staring at the star map showing the projected path of the Kythera fleet. But we need to be smart about this. These aliens chose the wrong species to mess with. The hunt wasn't just about military ships. Ordinary people joined the effort in any way they could. Civilian cargo haulers formed supply lines. Communication ships carried messages between the scattered fleet. Even small pleasure craft joined the search, their owners desperate to help. Captain Ben Parker's cargo ship Iron Horse wasn't built for war, but his crew had loaded it with every weapon they could find. Mining lasers, industrial cutters, even construction equipment that could be used as weapons. Captain, we're not soldiers, his engineer pointed out. Today we are, Ben replied. Those kids need every ship we can send. The alien observers watching the human response couldn't believe what they were seeing. The logical Volthan analyst Prime Logic Xerion sent regular reports to the Galactic Council. The human mobilization continues to grow, he reported. This level of resource commitment for a rescue operation is unprecedented. They are behaving as if their entire species is under threat. What the aliens didn't understand was that to humans, those children represented everything. They were the future of humanity among the stars. Every parent in human space saw their own child in those emergency pods. The chase led through space controlled by different alien species. The humans asked for permission to pass through their territory, but made it clear they were coming through either way. Most species quickly granted passage. The wise ones remembered old warnings about never cornering humans when their young were threatened. The Etherian collective even offered to help with supplies and fuel, but some species tried to stop the human fleet. A group of Ragelian pirates thought they could profit from the situation by demanding payment for passage through their space. Captain Wade's response was swift and brutal. The Vengeance destroyed 3 pirate ships in less than 10 minutes, then broadcast a message to the remaining pirates, "Get out of our way or join your friends." The pirates fled. Meanwhile, the Kythera were beginning to realize something was wrong. Warpack leader Zakth received troubling reports from outposts throughout his territory. Warpack leader, the humans are everywhere, reported one of his ship commanders. They've destroyed the slaving station at Rigel 7th. They're asking about the children. Impossible, Zakth snarled. How could they mobilize so quickly? His second-in-command looked nervous. Perhaps we should release the human children. The other species are warning us to stay away from human young. Coward, Zakth roared. We are Kythera. We fear no one. But privately, he was beginning to worry. The human response was far beyond anything he had expected. How could one species care so much about 300 individuals? The answer came from an unexpected source. Deep in Kythera space, an old Saurian merchant named Veltar had been trading with the Kythera for decades. He had seen many species come and go, but he had never seen anything like the human fleet now approaching Kythera territory. You fool, he told Zakth over a communication link. You have doomed your people. I have lived for 2,000 years, and I have learned this truth. There is no force in the galaxy stronger than humans protecting their children. You're just trying to scare me, Zakth replied, but his voice lacked confidence. Am I? Veltar asked. Tell me, how many of your outposts are still responding to calls? How many of your ships have fled rather than face the human fleet? Zakth checked his reports. Half of his outposts had gone silent. Many of his ships had deserted, their crews too scared to face the approaching human armada. The human fleet continued to grow as it moved through space. Ships from the outer colonies joined the main force. Even the frontier settlements sent their small defense ships to help with the search. Captain Morrison, the former commander of the New Horizon, had been rescued from his escape pod by a passing freight ship. When he learned about the rescue mission, he immediately joined the fleet aboard Captain Wade's ship Vengeance. I know those children, he told Wade. I promised their parents I would keep them safe. I'm going to keep that promise, Wade nodded. We'll get them back. All of them. The human fleet was now less than 2 days behind the Cathera. Admiral Sullivan had taken command of the combined force, organizing the ships into battle groups. The fleet included everything from massive battleships to tiny scout vessels. Admiral, we're detecting the Cathera fleet ahead, reported the sensor operator aboard Sullivan's flagship. They've taken position behind an asteroid field in the Zirian system. Perfect, Sullivan said grimly. They've trapped themselves. Send a message to all ships, prepare for battle. Remember, our primary mission is to rescue those children. Everything else is secondary. The largest human fleet in history approached the Zirian system, united by a single purpose: to bring their children home. The Cathera had thought they were taking helpless prisoners. Instead, they had awakened something that would shake the foundations of the galaxy. Behind the asteroid field, Warpack leader Zakth watched the approaching human fleet on his screens. There were so many ships that his sensors couldn't count them all. For the first time in his life, the proud Cathara warrior felt fear. What have we done? He whispered. In the cargo hold of his ship, 300 human children slept peacefully in their stasis pods, unaware that the entire human race was coming to save them. The final battle was about to begin. The human fleet arrived at the edge of the Zirion system like an angry storm. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Righteous Fury, watching hundreds of ships spread out in battle formation. She had never seen so many human vessels in one place. Admiral, we're detecting the Cathara fleet, reported her sensor officer. They're hiding behind the asteroid field, 43 ships including one massive vessel that must be their flagship. Sullivan nodded. That big ship would be where the children were held. Send a message to the Cathara fleet. Give them one chance to surrender. The message went out across all frequencies. This is Admiral Sullivan of the Human Defense Force. You have taken our children, return them now and we will let you live. Refuse, and face the consequences. Warpack leader Zakth received the message aboard his flagship, the Fleshrender. Around him, his crew looked nervous and scared. Many of them had heard the stories about what happened to species that harmed human children. They're bluffing, Zakth said, but his voice shook. We have their precious children. They won't risk hurting them. His second-in-command pointed at the sensor screen. Warpack leader, look at how many ships they have. I count over 800 vessels. Some of them are bigger than anything we've ever seen. Zakth stared at the screen. The human fleet stretched across space like a wall of metal and weapons. How could any species mobilize so many ships so quickly? Send our response, he ordered. Tell them we will sell the children back to them, 2 million credits each. The human response came immediately. It wasn't words, but weapons fire. The battle began when the first human ships opened fire on the Cathara defense platforms scattered throughout the asteroid field. The platforms exploded one by one, lighting up space with brilliant flashes. All ships advance, Admiral Sullivan commanded. Remember, our target is that flagship. The children are on that ship. Captain Lisa Wade piloted the Vengeance through the asteroid field, her heavy cruiser's weapons blazing. Beside her on the bridge stood Captain Morrison, the former commander of the New Horizon. There, Morrison pointed at the massive Cathera flagship. That's where they'll be keeping the children. I can see the cargo bay doors. How do we get them out without hurting the kids? Wade asked. The answer came from Dr. Elena Foster, a scientist who had studied alien biology for years. She had joined the rescue fleet specifically because she knew about Kithara weaknesses. Subsonic frequencies, she explained over the communication link. Kithara hearing is very sensitive. We can use sound waves that will knock them unconscious but won't hurt humans. Can we do that? Admiral Sullivan asked. If we can get close. Enough, Dr. Foster replied. We need a boarding team to get inside their ship. Major Rick Stone, leader of the Human Special Forces, volunteered immediately. My team can do it. Just get us to that ship. The battle raged through the asteroid field. Kithara ships tried to fight back, but they were outnumbered 20-1. Human weapons, designed from years of warfare against different alien species, tore through Kithara shields like paper. One by one, the Kithara ships were destroyed or disabled. Some tried to surrender, but most fought to the end. They knew what happened to slavers who were captured by humans. Captain Ben Parker's cargo ship Iron Horse wasn't built for fighting, but he and his crew used their mining equipment to blast holes in Kithara ships. Industrial lasers meant for cutting rock worked just as well on alien metal. Take that, you child-stealing monsters! Ben shouted as his ship's modified mining laser cut a Kithara destroyer in half. The human fleet pressed forward, getting closer and closer to the flesh render. Warpack leader Zakth watched in horror as his ships were destroyed around him. Retreat, he ordered. All ships fall back. But there was nowhere to run. The human fleet had surrounded the entire asteroid field. Every escape route was blocked. Warpack, leader, his communications officer said. The other ships are asking for permission to surrender. Never, Zakth roared. We are Kithara. We do not surrender. But his crew was losing hope. They could see the human ships getting closer, their weapons ready to fire. Some of the Kithara warriors were already putting down their weapons. Admiral, Sullivan's voice echoed through space. This is your final warning. Surrender now or we will take the children by force. On the flesh render, Dr. Lisa Carter was waking up from the stasis sleep she had been forced into. The Kithara had captured her along with the children, planning to sell her as a skilled medical worker. She looked around the cargo hold and saw the children still sleeping in their stasis pods. Little Amy was right next to her, breathing peacefully. Don't worry, sweetheart, Lisa whispered. Help is coming. The Human Special Forces team launched from the Vengeance in a small, fast ship. Major Stone and his 12 soldiers flew toward the flesh render, dodging weapons fire from the desperate Kithara. Crew, remember, Dr. Foster's voice came through their helmets. Activate the subsonic generators as soon as you're inside. The frequency will knock out the Kithara but leave the humans conscious. The Special Forces ship attached to the flesh renders, hull like a tick on a dog. The soldiers cut through the alien ship's armor with plasma torches and climbed inside. The Kithara crew tried to fight them, but the subsonic weapons worked perfectly. The high-pitched sound waves made the aliens collapse, holding their heads in pain before falling unconscious. Major Stone and his team moved quickly through the ship toward the cargo hold. They found Kithara guards trying to use the children as shields, but the subsonic weapons dropped the aliens before they could hurt anyone. Dr. Carter, Major Stone called out when he saw her helping the children out of their stasis pods. Major, thank goodness you're here, she replied. The children are all safe. They're scared, but they're not hurt. Little Amy opened her eyes and looked around at the strange metal walls and the sleeping aliens on the floor. Are we safe now? She asked in a small voice. Yes, sweetheart, Dr. Carter told her. We're going home. Major Stone found Warpack leader Zakth in the ship's command center. The proud Kithara leader was the last one standing, holding a weapon but unable to use it because of the pain in his head. You, Zakth gasped. You don't understand. We didn't know. We didn't know what they meant to you. Now you do, Major, Stone replied, taking the alien's weapon away. Outside, the last of the Kithara fleet surrendered. Some ships were destroyed, others were captured. The battle was over in less than 6 hours. Admiral Sullivan's voice came over the communication system. All ships report. Are the children safe? Children are secure. Major Stone reported. All 300 accounted for. They're scared but unharmed. Across the human fleet, cheers erupted from every ship. They had done it. They had brought their children home. On the flesh render, Dr. Carter helped the children into the rescue shuttles. Little Amy tugged on her sleeve. Dr. Carter, are we really going home now? Yes, honey. We're going home. As the shuttles carried the children to safety, Warpack leader Zakth sat in his empty command center, surrounded by his unconscious crew. He finally understood what the other aliens had tried to warn him about. Humans weren't just another species to be hunted and sold. When their children were threatened, they became something else entirely. They became an unstoppable force that would cross the galaxy to protect their young. The Cathera had learned this lesson too late. The rescue of the human children was only the beginning. As the human fleet secured the area around the asteroid field, Admiral Kate Sullivan made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. All ships, listen carefully, she broadcast to the massive fleet. We didn't come here just to rescue our children, we came here to send a message. Captain Lisa Wade looked at the sensor readings from her ship, the Vengeance. Admiral, we're detecting more Cathara installations throughout this system. Slave processing centers, holding facilities, auction houses. Perfect, Sullivan replied. Begin liberation operations. Free every slave in this system. What happened next shocked even the humans themselves. The fleet spread out across the Zirian system like an avenging angel, systematically destroying every Cathera slaving operation they could find. On the moon of Zirian Prime, Captain Ben Parker and his modified cargo ship Iron Horse landed at a massive prison complex. His crew used their mining equipment to cut through the walls, freeing hundreds of alien prisoners. You're free, Ben told a group of crystal-like Zilani who had been captured months earlier. Go home to your families. The Zilani clicked their gratitude in their native language. One of them, speaking broken standard, said, Humans save us. Humans good. Cathara very bad. Similar scenes played out across the system. The human fleet rescued thousands of aliens from dozens of different species. There were Etherian scholars who had been captured for their knowledge, Saurian historians taken for their long memories, and even some water-dwelling Aquari who had been kept in tanks. Among the rescued were alien children from many species. When Dr. Lisa Carter saw them, her heart broke. These young ones had been taken from their families just like the human children. We're taking all of them, she told Admiral Sullivan. Every child goes home to their parents. The liberation operations continued for 3 days. The human fleet worked around the clock, freeing slaves and destroying Cathara infrastructure. They didn't ask for payment or thanks. They simply couldn't stand the thought of any children, human or alien, being sold as property. Word of the human. Actions spread quickly through the galaxy's communication networks. Species that had lost people to Cathara slavers for decades suddenly had their loved ones returned to them. On the Galactic Council Station, Ambassador Helen Torres received urgent messages from grateful alien governments. The Zilani Collective offered trade agreements. The Etherian Council proposed scientific cooperation. Even former human enemies began talking about friendship. The humans have done something unprecedented, reported the Volthan analyst Prime Logic Zerion to the Council. They have freed over 10,000 slaves from 43 different species. They seek no compensation for their actions. High Counselor Vextar, the ancient Saurian, slowly stood from his meditation platform. This confirms what I have always known about humans. They protect not just their own young, but all young. They are rare in the galaxy. The Galactic Council faced a difficult decision. The humans had technically violated several laws by attacking Cathara territory and destroying their property. But those same actions had freed thousands of innocent beings from slavery. The debate lasted for hours. Some species called for punishment. Others demanded that the humans be praised as heroes. Finally, Vextar spoke the words that would become galactic law. The humans have shown us that the protection of children transcends all other concerns. From this day forward, any species that harms the young of any other species will face the full consequences of their actions. Let this be our new law. The Council voted. The decision was unanimous. Meanwhile, the captured Cathara were taken to prison ships. Warpack leader Zakth found himself in a cell aboard a human vessel, guarded by the same humans whose children he had stolen. Major Rick Stone came to visit him one day. The Cathara leader looked broken and defeated, very different from the proud warrior who had attacked the New Horizon. "I don't understand," Zakth said. "They were just 300 individuals. How could your entire species mobilize for so few?" Major Stone sat down across from the alien. "You still don't get it, do you? Those weren't just 300 individuals. They were 300 futures, 300 dreams, 300 reasons why we travel to the stars." "But the cost," Zakth protested. "Your fleet must have spent billions of credits to mount this operation." "You can't put a price on a child's life," Stone replied. "Any child, human, Cathara, or any other species. That's what you never understood." Zakth was quiet for a long moment. "The other species tried to warn us. They said never to harm human. Young, we thought they were just afraid of you." "They weren't afraid of us," Stone said. "They were afraid for you. They knew what would happen if you crossed that line." A Galactic news reporter managed to get an interview with Zakth before he was taken to the Council prison world. His words were broadcast throughout the galaxy and became legendary. "We thought we understood predators," the former Warpack leader said, his voice hollow with defeat. "We thought we were the greatest hunters in the galaxy. But humans, when you threaten their young, they don't just hunt you. They become something beyond hunting. They become justice itself." The human children were taken home on the fastest ships available. Little Amy, the 4-year-old who had asked so many questions, rode aboard Admiral Sullivan's flagship. She spent most of the journey drawing pictures of their adventure. "What are you drawing, sweetheart?" Dr. Carter asked her. "The scary monsters," Amy said, holding up her picture. "And the nice people who came to save us." "Were you scared?" Dr. Carter asked gently. Amy thought about it seriously. "A little bit. But I knew our parents would come get us. Parents always come for their children." The fleet arrived at Earth to the biggest celebration in human history. Families reunited with their children in scenes that brought tears to the eyes of alien observers. The children were hailed as heroes, but they didn't feel like heroes. They felt like kids who had been lost and then found. At the memorial service, for the New Horizon and its crew, little Amy was asked to speak. She walked up to the microphone, barely tall enough to reach it, and said the words that would be remembered forever. "The scary monsters took us away from our families, but they couldn't keep us because our parents came to get us. All of our parents came to get us." Captain Morrison, now promoted to Admiral, established the Child Protection Protocol within the Human Defense Force. The protocol was simple. Any harm to any child, human or alien, will be met with the full response of humanity, regardless of distance, cost, or consequence. The protocol was carved into stone at every human military base and space station. It became the first law that new recruits learned. It was humanity's promise to the galaxy. Years later, alien parents throughout the galaxy would tell their children bedtime stories about the humans who crossed the stars to save their young. The stories always ended the same way. And that is why no one in the galaxy ever harms a child anymore. Because the humans are watching, and they will always come. The Cathara Empire collapsed within a year. Other species refused to trade with them. Their former slaves returned home and told stories of human kindness. The proud warrior race that had once terrorized the galaxy faded into history, but the children they had taken grew up to become the bridge between humanity and dozens of alien species. They were living proof that humans would sacrifice everything to protect the innocent, no matter what species they belonged to. In the end, the Cathara had not just taken human children. They had given the galaxy a new understanding of what it meant to be human. And that understanding changed everything.